So, it's funny when you don't know what's going on and then something hits you, you're sort of like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened. Well, in this circumstance, we sort of knew what was happening and we sort of knew what was going on. In July, Nancy Pelosi offered a deal for the second stimulus package that was bloated. And between July and literally at the time of this recording, she has not changed the number. Well, as we sit here this afternoon, nothing has really changed from her. The only thing that has changed is that she's actually now fully admitting what she's been doing. She now admits that she has no intention of giving you a stimulus package until January, on the hopes that a series of events unfold and they go in her favor. Well, we're not worried about what she thinks because we're focused on the ultimate prize. Getting it by executive order, getting it via the president, getting it from the problem solvers. We're detached from her and her games. We're focused on the finish line, and this is Purple Power and LALATE. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Afternoons LA with me back into one of my original OG outfits back in the days of May and June. I know you really appreciated this look, so I'm going to bring it back on Throwback Thursday. This is Afternoons LA with big exciting developments about your second stimulus check and stimulus package by means of legislative efforts. But let me focus on the breaking developments coming up in this recording. One, all eyes are still on the president as the president's starting to move and start doing things by his own inherent authority by executive order. He's made it very clear today, his press secretary has made it very clear that the president's stepping in and he's starting to do things irrespective of what's going on with the Temple of Doom. So this is incredibly great news. Two, the problem solvers situation still remains a focus of this channel. The question is how far we can push with it, but we're going to stay with it. The president's executive order doesn't expire today. His authority continues, through the weekend, which is a great day. And finally, of course, the drama that is Nancy Pelosi. She wants to be an evening drama. She wants to be more dramatic than Dallas and Dynasty wrapped up combined. And I have all the breaking details about where she and Stevie are today. This recording is made at 12:30 Pacific Standard Time. So certainly by the time of the airing of this video at 3:30 Pacific Standard Time, things could change. So that's my full disclosure. This is Afternoons LA that starts with a check. After this has hazard pay, then FPUC, and then finally rent, but which will also be an extenuation of yesterday's special, Mnuchin versus Pelosi. So thank you for tuning in. As always, go to the Funds channel, subscribe. We're really trying to get to 280 and get this envelope moving. The push of the Purple Power is absolutely underway, and you do an incredible job on social media. More about that in a second. Also like this video because it's going to be the most informed video you have with no nonsense across the board on today's afternoon. All right, let's get to the breaking details. All eyes are on the president. All eyes remain on the president. And the president is now saying that he's going to start doing things because he's tired of the situation. The president, in comments that are confirmed by his press secretary, said that the president urged Mnuchin to get higher from 1.0 trillion, but wasn't going to go through the roof and wasn't going to give away the kitchen sink. So the last offer from Mnuchin was along the lines of the problem solvers bill of 1.7, but the president's really not going to keep on going. And so the press secretary to the president was asked a series of questions. Well, what's going on after this? First question, of course, is the airlines. And she said, yeah, the president's going to start stepping in. And he's going to start stepping in and take care of the situation. The question is, when for the stimulus check? When for enhanced on a FPUC or LWA 2.0? That will be covered later in this video. So incredible, great news. The other breaking news this afternoon is the problem solvers and, of course, the dramatics of the Temple of Doom. The problem solvers yesterday ended the day by saying, I urge that the Temple of Doom continue to negotiate with Mnuchin and not put this to a vote and not leave town. The question is, and I certainly don't know this as I record at 12:30 Pacific Standard Time on a Thursday afternoon, is will these members, the problem solver Problem Solvers Caucus, and will these members of the Blue Dogs and these members of the New Democrat Coalition really do what they said they're going to do, which is not vote for this bill? Nancy Pelosi has now indicated that she's going to put her bill up for a vote in the House of Representatives Thursday evening to get it voted and approved by Democrats, and then they'll leave town. The question is whether all Democrats will in fact vote in favor of it after they've categorically been saying they're not going to do this antics. Don't know. But we're certainly going to continue to push for the problem solvers and say, hey, get it going, problem solvers. Let's get a vote for the problem solvers bill. Let me clarify one question and procedural issue, because I'm getting a lot of confusing questions, because I know this situation is very confusing. The problem solvers bill has not been introduced on the Senate floor. There's just a lot of confusion out there. The problem solvers bill has not been introduced on the House floor either. So the problem solvers bill is not set anywhere for a vote. There's also no teed up time for the problem solvers for a vote. There is no scheduled time yet for Pelosi's bill in the House to be voted upon, but it's anticipated it'll be Thursday night. It was originally for Wednesday night. She canceled it based upon the problem solvers' remarks. All right, next, let me get to the details of where Mnuchin and Pelosi are as we sit here tonight, this afternoon. Mnuchin has a 1.67-ish number trillion, and Pelosi's at 2.2. What I need you to understand is that the number, the 2.2, is exactly what Pelosi has been at since the month of July, and you have gone homeless. You have lost thousands and thousands of dollars of FPUC. You have not gotten your stimulus check, because that offer of 2.2 is the same one she made in July that everyone has told her they're not going to do. Well, the press secretary to Donald Trump since Morning to LALATE taped, Lily came out and said something really refreshing, which is, stop the games, Nancy. That's the same damn number you've had since July. And everyone told you in July we're not doing that number, so you're just playing a lot of games. Until you get serious, don't come back around to us. I loved it. Not particularly that I like her, but I love that remark. It was so true to force. And that's where we are. There is that incredible report from Politico that I detailed on Mornings at Late that Mnuchin allegedly, this is a source, this is not a quote from Mnuchin, allegedly had put in an escalator provision, stairs provision, escalator provision to go from 1.7 to 2 trillion. Let me make something clear to you. Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell play a very good publicity game, and they love to filter fake news to the press all the time. And so that's why I've had to tell you in the last 24 hours is this is a fact. This is a source, and this is opinion. Source means it's something that someone said off the record that could ultimately be Nancy Pelosi's office feeding you something. And this sounded like a feeding, that Mnuchin offered this wonderful escalator provision that he'll go from 1.7 to 2, but he doesn't want to admit that he's a 2. Well, the White House has not confirmed that number at all. Now, what was confirmed, ironically, not confirmed, but sourced this morning, was that Pelosi has now said that if she has no agreement from Mnuchin to go higher than 1.6 or 1.7, that she's ecstatic because Joe Biden will win the presidency and she will not give you stimulus until January of 2021. Yes, seriously. Ironically, that's exactly what we all thought she was doing. That was what we all accused her of doing. And now apparently the sourced report claims that's exactly what she has told her caucus. Congratulations. We're going to win the presidency. We'll just not give anyone stimulus relief until January 2021. More about that in a second. Yeah, it's pretty disgusting. McConnell now is the extra wing in this scenario. He's made very clear that Senate is not voting on any of this crap. So you want to do whatever you want to do, Madam Pelosi, at 2 whatever. It's never going to see light of day in the Senate. So, it would be just a symbolic vote tonight, and that will be it. So let me make this very clear to you. You need 4 events to occur. First, you need Mnuchin and Pelosi to agree to something. Well, they're not. So Nancy's just sort of skipping step number 1. And she's going to step number 2, that you introduce it to the House for a vote. Well, you don't have an agreement from anyone about what you're introducing for. The question is whether all the Democrats will support it. I hope some of them break and say, no, we're not even voting on this, and they chose not to vote. She'll introduce it to the House. It'll likely pass the House tonight, and that'll be it. And they'll be on a plane. It will not go to step 3, which is it has to go to the Senate to get approved by the Senate. It will never He'll never get in this door. He'll be knocking on the door, and Mitch will get the door locked on it. It's like, oh, you're that 2x2. Stay outside and, enjoy your $12 ice cream. Step 4 is the president would sign it. Well, the president's not going to sign 2.2. So she's basically just stonewalling everyone for dramatics. I introduced a bill and American children going hungry. It's just, honey, go read a Jackie Collins novel. So as we sit here this afternoon, that's where we are. I really don't think it makes any purpose for us in this recording for me to go more into her antics, because we sort of got it at this point. What we need to focus, however, is on us. And this is why we're so empowered. We don't sit around and have other people dictate our destiny. This is not a monarchy. This is not one woman determining our fate. This is a democracy. And so ultimately, there is a path to get your second stimulus. There is a path to get your second stimulus check, FPUC, LWA, rent, and all this type of relief. And you've already gotten some of it before. You just need to get the rest of it. You've got an executive order for rent, an executive order for LWA, an executive order for mortgage forbearance. You've gotten a lot of executive orders. You just need to get more. So the first one is executive order for stimulus check. The president says he would support a stimulus check by executive order. And the president has identified the funds for executive order for stimulus check, over $300 billion. That's not in funds in the Treasury, but in separate accounts that have already been, for programs that have now expired. This has been confirmed repeatedly by members of his staff, as recently as Larry Kudlow, saying that the president can repurpose money and send it out for other purposes, like stimulus checks. It doesn't cost a lot of money to do stimulus checks to the American public. It's about $300 billion. And the president has identified at least $300 billion. And if you ask me, well, he wants to do those other things, there's still enough money to do those other things and still do the stimulus check. So I'll make that very, very clear to you. I've been reporting that there's upwards of $500 billion available to the president. So I think that there's enough of money for the stimulus checks, a few other things, and FPUC for a couple of weeks, maybe to carry us all the way to December. This is incredibly great news. Now, what I'm detailing for you is a mixture of both fact and source. The fact is from the president. Yeah, I know you're going to say, but he lied. Yeah, well, we can't. Ultimately, the people that have the money, we have to assume they're telling us the correct numbers for the money. So Steve Mnuchin says, I have $300 million. The president says, I have $300 million sitting around I can use. You assume that $300 million is really there. I mean, if we're going to start guessing that every single member in Congress is not telling us the truth about numbers, then, we're going to really be nowhere. But we're to presume that the $300 million is there. I got to tell you that it is there. This is fact, because SBA and a lot of other agencies have to report to the American public by law how much money was unused from prior programs. So we have factual confirmation that there is at least $300 million. The reason why I'm reporting it's $500 million is I have other reports that are factual from agencies that have to report unused funds, and those put us more towards $500 billion. Did I say million? I meant billion. So this is incredibly great news. So then the question is, okay, how much money would we get? Well, you would get potentially what Mnuchin and Trump has been talking about for the stimulus checks in recent weeks. And that goes back to the problem solvers bill. Mnuchin's offer this week was ostensibly the problem solvers bill, which we all like, with the exception of that one thing, the dependence amount. In these things, there's so many bad and there's so much good that we have to hope we get as many good things as we can, but we may not get everything that we want. So it would be $1,200 single check now, and another $1,200 check next year, potentially. Let me explain that second check for a second, because I haven't done this in a while. Mnuchin has, on the record, said multiple times the president is in favor of sending multiple checks in the future as warranted. So, and he also said that he supports the problem solvers bill, which calls for multiple checks, one check now and one check in March. So that's inherently great news. Let's go back to the check amounts again. $1,200 to individuals, $2,400 married couple, dependents $500, and adult dependents $500. If you're on SSDI, SSI, Social Security, Railroad benefits, you would get $500 if you're dependent on someone else's tax return. I understand that you did not get a first stimulus check. You know, the power of the purple is absolutely incredible. When I moved into the space of stimulus coverage, now that this channel is the most watched stimulus channel by watch time and other metrics, no one was telling you what you qualified for. And people thought that they were on SSDI, SSI, and Social Security benefits, that they would not get a stimulus check because they were on benefits. I explained to you that was not why you didn't get a first stimulus check. It was because you were probably an adult dependent. And then viewers said, oh yeah, I was. I'm like, well, the bill in the first time around, the law the first time around did not provide for checks for adult dependents. This time, the great news is that it does. So you get a $500 stimulus check. I know you wish it's $1,200. I know you wish it's $2,000. I wish it's the Harris-Sanders bill, $2,000 every month for 6 months. But, you know, at the moment, this is where we are. Then FPUC. Well, FPUC under the Problem Solvers bill is $450 for 8 weeks and then 5 weeks at $600 a week. Mnuchin is endorsing much of that, which is an incredible jump from anything Mnuchin ever did before, which was $400 a week during the negotiations. Again, let me make clear the following. What I just said, that last sentence, is source data. Mnuchin has never on the record given us a number of what he offered during those July negotiations with Nancy Pelosi. There was widespread reporting based upon source data that he had offered $400 a week for FPUC, retroactive from July to January 2021. Now, it's been 10 weeks since then, so you would have had $4,000 in your bank account. Yeah. You would have had $4,000 in your bank account, but because of the Temple of Doom, because she wants to hold out for $600 a week, you have zero. Well, you maybe have LWA, but you ostensibly have zero under FPUC. So Mnuchin's believed, and again, now this is source data today, is believed to have offered $450 again, pursuant to the Problem Solvers bill, 8 weeks and then 6 weeks, 5 weeks of $600. That's presumed to be where it is because the president last week said that he supported the Problem Solvers bill and would sign that bill right away. Well, that's the provision of the Problem Solvers bill. Now, the negative thing about that, and as we said, there's always a negative and a positive, is that it's not retroactive. So Mnuchin did not, at least as we see, ask for something retroactively. Again, we can't particularly have everything that we need and everything that we want, but we're pushing along. What else? Well, student loan debt deferment can be done by the president by executive order. I mean, it can be done in 10 seconds. It's just, he writes a sentence out. Another round of PPP, the president can do that by executive order. Another round of EIDL, the president can do that by executive order. EIDL grants, the president can do it by executive order. How about hazard pay? The president could do that by executive order. That's a very executive order-ish type of thing, I gotta tell you. Hazard pay, it's very executive order-ish. You know why? Because hazard pay is set up an agency or a designated agency, give that agency some money, set up an application process for a grant program for people who worked, have them apply. It just sounds very executive order-ish. So that's all incredible great news. So as we sit here this afternoon, how should we feel about the situation? How should we emotionally and focus going forward? And this is what's so important. You were pre-warned by me over a week ago to reject what's going to happen with her. That she was just going to basically do the same thing she's been doing since July, jacking us around. And that's what she did. She basically introduced the same thing since July that no one wanted. So I told you, be emotionally ready to reject what she says. Don't think that what she's going to introduce is going to be beneficial for you, because it's not. And be invested in trying to get the president and the problem solvers pushing this out for you. So as we go forward, we have 3 pressure points for the afternoon. First, we will certainly, before I get to the pressure points, we'll still stay focused as any of developing details between Mnuchin and Pelosi. Remember, this recording was made about 12:30 Pacific Standard Time, so anything can change by the minute. But we will continue to press with the problem solvers. The problem solvers should introduce their bill to the Senate floor. I mean, I just don't understand what's going on. They should be pushing and introducing their bill to the Senate floor. The problem solvers are a mixture of House and Senate members. So, you know, you're in the Senate. How about doing it in the Senate. Hello. Now, would Mitch support 1.5, 1.6? There's enough reports that suggest, this is source data, that it can get done, but it will be a drag-out fight. And that you'll need some partisan jumps. What I mean is that you would need some Democrats in the Senate to jump over and vote in favor of the Problem Solvers bill. You would need a lot of the Republicans to vote for it. But if you didn't get all of the Republicans, what you could do is basically still get it approved by enough Democrats jumping on. There is some direct quotes, which I didn't run, by people that have said today they think they can get the Problem Solvers bill passed in the Senate. We shall see. Mitch is coming to visit us this afternoon. The second pressure point is the president by executive order. President by executive order. We need to continue to push. This won't be a one-day ordeal. I got to tell you, the push to get the president to do these things by executive order is not a one-day deal, and we will continue to push. We'll continue as the Purple Power family to really get the message out. Do this by executive orders. It's not something that'll just turn over in one day. It's not something that'll turn over in 1 hour. And so what we're going to do is continue that push. Finally, we're not going to forget what the Cease for Stimulus people did to us. If they do vote in favor of that $2.2 trillion bill this afternoon, this evening, and get on their planes and fly home, and then don't do much of anything else, we're going to take note of who they are and vote them out. Coming up next is hazard pay. And I have a lot of big developments about what's going on with the airlines. And I know you've been asking them for me because it's just okay. Mitch is really not liking this broadcast. So police presence for Mitch's coverage tonight. So what I'm going to recommend to you is certainly tune into that video and hope another helicopter doesn't come back. Oh, he's gone. So tune in to Hazard Pay coming up next because it's going to be a big development. Also go to the French channel, subscribe. Subscribe. It's important to subscribe so that when an event occurs, you are going to alert from me in the community page of this channel. A lot of people are sending me very nice messages that said, I heard this news report. I'm like, I had already posted on the community page like 3 hours ago. If you're a subscriber, you would have heard it from me as soon as it broke. Also like this video because, hey, you know, it's important you put this channel first before other channels are telling you that UFOs have your stimulus checks. Coming up next is Hazard Pay. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, stay focused, and stay allied.